Why did Spider-Man open a retirement account? He wanted to turn his Spidey cents into Spidey dollars. Welcome to this Comic Book Editions video, which is part 6 of my spectacular Spider haul. I'm happy that you're here for this May edition of it. Welcome. When we left off last month, it was Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man, issue number 89. Issue number 90, which they say is the second appearance of Spider-Man's black suit, I received as an A-OK from Comic Food 2814 when we met in person. I shared that with you in Comic Book Editions volume 137 last month. I had issue number 91, which features the X-Men villain, the mutant, the Blob, as a childhood collector. Also as a childhood collector, I had issue number 92 that introduces a villain called The Answer. That brings us to the beginning of the books that I'm going to share with you today, issue number 93. And the books that I have in today's video were all published between 1984 and 1985. So The Answer is a pretty arrogant villain, and it definitely shows in its writing. He's not my favorite Spider-Man villain by far. He's kind of a Kingpin stoogie, to be honest with you. He's okay. It's fine. The art was really good on this, and I should mention that Al Migrom did double duties as writer and as artist in the first 4 books that I'm going to show you in today's video. The 5th book he was a writer of, but someone else did the art chores. Also in this issue, a corpse is being stolen. You kind of get the impression that it's a bad person. It's someone evil. You don't exactly know who, and you don't exactly know the purposes why. Those end up getting revealed in the next issue. This one was okay for me. It wasn't as good as some of the other books that I had come off in reading and sharing with you in my last video, but it wasn't a total flop either. It just seemed like a slight step down for me. Going into the next issue, number 94, this brings back the return of Cloak and Dagger. I've been a huge Cloak and Dagger fan for a long time. But it's funny, I did end up getting their first appearance, which was also in a Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man comic book, issue number 64, if I'm remembering correctly. I didn't end up getting that first appearance till about a year and a half ago. It always seemed to be priced a little bit more than I wanted to spend. Comics for Thomas ended up getting that for me and A-OK'd it to me, which made me so happy because that's a book that I was going after, and it was a target for me. This might be, if I'm remembering correctly, the beginning of the 3rd time Cloak and Dagger did a story arc appearance in Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man. I think I'm pretty accurate in saying that. So we find out in this issue that that corpse that was stolen, it's the villain Silvermane. And it's interesting to see that as he's brought back from the dead by Kingpin via his stoogie, The Answer, they kind of almost want to zombify him and make him do, Kingpin's bidding. And in one sense that works, but there were some things that they weren't counting on happening either, which is kind of where Cloak and Dagger tie in with this. So this very much is the setup, because it's a 3-issue story arc. This first issue is very much a setup to what's coming. So the action moves a little bit slower too. But when we get to issue number 95, things start to pick up, and I really enjoyed this story a lot. There's a big throwback to Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man, issue number 70, when I'm reading the story, because 70 was the issue that Dagger supposedly killed Silvermane. So you see a lot of throwbacks to that, and it's good seeing them tie the previous storyline back into this one too. So I did enjoy this a lot more. I thought the action picked up. It started reminding me more of the Spectacular Spider-Man stories that I had enjoyed so much. As a little side note, before we get into the next issue, which is 96, and the conclusion of this 3-part story arc, they did publish a Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man annual between issue number 95 and 96. It doesn't tie in directly to this storyline, and I did have that as a childhood collector too. But here is issue number 96 that wraps up this 3-part Cloak and Dagger storyline with Silvermane. We have The Answer. We have Kingpin in there too. This was really good. You probably noticed right away too that the old costume is back. So there were several Spider-Man comic books being published at this time. And I think it was in an Amazing Spider-Man comic book that Spidey took his costume over to the Baxter building for Reed Richards, and he kind of find out that it was trying to bond with him. And that was interesting. Just at the end of this issue too, you see the costume inside the Baxter building. It's being held captive in this tube, and it's trying to escape from it. So that was kind of interesting too. And something's going on with this costume, and it was interesting. But this 3 issues story arc with Cloak and Dagger was very good. Cloak and Dagger had the opportunity to potentially heal the Kingpin's wife. That's very similar to the Mr. Freeze story arc that's going on in the Batman books. And they choose not to because of, I don't know if I'm saying this correctly, but kind of because Kingpin's evil and because he's done horrible things to other people and he doesn't deserve it. They kind of just make the decision that he doesn't deserve it, and they disappear, leaving Kingpin in a rage, which they even comment in there, you very rarely seen his emotions show like they showed when that was denied to him. So overall, I enjoyed this 3-issue story arc, and it's always good being a Cloak and Dagger fan, seeing them back. I think they play off the Spider-Man well. There's a little bit of jealousy there from Black Cat, wondering if Spider-Man's interested in Dagger too. So that was interesting. So issue number 97, this is the one that I said Al Milgrom wrote, but Herb Trimpe did the art in this one, where Al Milgrom did the story and art on the previous issues I showed you. Love the artwork in this issue. The story did not like at all. It's a one-off story arc, almost kind of about subliminal messaging in advertising. Didn't like it at all. Thought it was boring and hard to follow. They all can't be winners, and this one for me definitely was not a winner. I couldn't wait to get through this book, and I was so happy that it was just a one-off, one-issue storyline, because this wasn't working for me. So it's interesting with 93, which is the first book I showed you. I kind of felt like the bar had just gone down a little bit, just a little bit. And then when we got into 95 and 96, it kind of went back up to the level of enjoyment I've been having. And then with this one, it just plummeted way down. But in some of my previous Spectacular Spider Haul videos too, you'll see that I've just enjoyed issue after issue after issue. Then all of a sudden I'll get to one issue and I'm like, I didn't like this. And I guess for me, at least in this video, this is the one where I'm like, I didn't like this. So issue 98, 99, 100, and 101, I don't have in my collection. Oh, I especially need that 101 with that awesome negative space Spider-Man cover. Don't have those, and I need to get those into my collection. That allows us to jump to issue number 102. So Cary Burkett wrote this story, and Larry Lieber did the artwork. Not another one of my favorites either. They spend so much time introducing these characters, Donna Gardner and her brother Donnie Gardner. And to my knowledge, this was their first appearance, but I don't think they ever got used again too. And too much time is devoted, and Peter Parker takes such an interest in Donna as a person, then never, for her to be brought back just makes this feel like a waste to me a little bit too. Just wasn't crazy about this story. We have the villain here, which is Killer Shrike. Just didn't work for me. So yeah, that was 2 in a row that I was reading since I missed those issues in between where I'm like, what's going to happen here? But then we move on to issue number 103. I loved this issue. This was really good. So Peter David wrote the story. Rich Buckler did the artwork, and Rich Buckler, very underappreciated. I actually own some Rich Buckler Wonder Woman original art, I'm proud to say. There's kind of a lot of back and forth in the storytelling to this issue. It goes from present day into the past, back to present day into the past, and which, we're used to. It feels very much like a TV episode to me, the way that this is written too. We get an appearance from the Human Torch in this issue. In a way, I say I don't want to give this away, but this book is how old? Human Torch ended up pulling off. It's hard to explain without you having read this issue. But Human Torch's appearance, I'll just say, was necessary for Spider-Man to do what he did in this issue. Also in this issue, there's a Batman reference too, to, you know, when Bruce Wayne was about to become Batman and he was being inspired by seeing this bat fly past the window. They almost recreate that, and then all of a sudden they're like, no, wait a minute. You know, a nice little nod to the competition in this issue. But I love this issue. This took me back up from, you know, having 2 issues in a row that I read that I just didn't care for. And then this one was just right back up on that top shelf level for me of how much I enjoyed. I think the cover is pretty intriguing, and what you see in the cover does happen in the story too. But there's a lot of things that they could have chose from the story to make into a cover. So there were a lot of, I think, very sales-worthy portions of the story that could have been covers. So like this one a lot. And then the final one I want to show you in today's video is issue number 104. And I liked this one a lot too. So this brought back Bill Mantlo as the writer. And he wrote a lot of the issues that I did in last month's Spectacular Spider Haul video that I enjoyed so much. And I think if I remember correctly, this is just a one-off story that he did, that he came back to do. So it has the villain that you're seeing here, the bounty hunter, who's essentially chasing a different villain, Rocket Racer. I didn't remember Rocket Racer at all from Spider-Man. And I think I did a little bit of research and found out he was in 2 Amazing Spider-Man comic books prior to this appearance. He was in issue 172 and 183, if I'm remembering correctly. And then tried to go on the straight and narrow path, and something gets him pulled back into crime, and then bounty hunters out to get him too, and Spider-Man gets caught up in all of that. A story I thought was really good, though. Enjoyed the artwork, enjoyed the story, and I thought I ended on a really good note with 2 issues that I really enjoyed back to back. So overall, with the books that I shared today, as I kind of mentioned, in the previous videos, this title has kind of been up to this level, you know, pretty high up for me, you know, up to this level, almost at as high as it could go for my enjoyment level. Then this batch of books started to go down just a touch, then it brought it back up, then it went down, and then kind of ended on a really good note and brought it back up. That leaves me with one more batch of books to share with you, which I'll do next month, in the month of June. Right now, I'm planning on Spectacular Spider Haul Part 7 to be my final one, unless I end up buying a whole bunch more Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man comic books, you know, in the meantime, that I have enough to add in an 8th volume. But right now, that should probably be the last of the series I'm going to do next month. So I invite you to look forward to that. I'd love for you to let me know if you have any of these books, or if you're chasing any of them, if there's any other Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man issues that you've enjoyed so much or could recommend. We can dialogue about all of that in the comments below. I'd love to know what your favorite cover was of the ones that I shared in today's video as well, so make sure to let me know. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, this is a great opportunity to do so and show support to my channel. I appreciate everyone who has subscribed and all the friendships that I've made because of having you watch my videos and getting to interact with you and learning about you through your channels too. Or on Instagram too. That's always fun. You can share this channel or this video with someone that you think might enjoy it. It's another great way to show support. Thanks again for everything that you do for me. Look for what probably will be our final installment of the Spectacular Spider Haul videos next month. But in the meantime, we have Fanboys Live and the Retro Review coming up this Sunday. We also have more Back Issue of the Week YouTube shorts that I do on my channel. I love doing those, so you can find those and more still to come on my channel. And next week, comic book editions video, just a regular one like we normally do, will be in this time slot space. Take care again. Thanks for watching and have a fantastic rest of your week.